An immunity passport, also known as an immunity certificate, recovery certificate or release certificate, is a document attesting that its bearer is immune to a contagious disease. Similar to quarantine, the registration of citizens is an action of states against an epidemic. An immunity passport is not the same as a vaccination record. The primary difference is that vaccination certificates such as the carte jaune incentivize individuals to obtain vaccination against a disease, while immunity passports incentivize individuals to get infected with and recover from a disease. The concept of immunity passports has drawn much attention during the COVID-19 pandemic as a potential way to contain the pandemic and permit faster economic recovery. This could include a health passport for people who have been vaccinated, or an immunity certificate for people who survived COVID-19. Immunity certificates are a legal document granted by a testing authority following a serology test, demonstrating that the bearer has antibodies making them immune to a disease. These antibodies can either be produced naturally by recovering from the disease, or triggered through vaccination. Such certificates are practical only if all of the following conditions can be satisfied. If reliable immunity certificates were available, they could be used to exempt holders from quarantine and social distancing restrictions, permitting them to work and travel. As of May 2020, it remains unclear if any of these conditions have been met for COVID-19. On April 24, 2020, the World Health Organization stated that, at this point in the pandemic, there is not enough evidence about the effectiveness of antibody-mediated immunity to guarantee the accuracy of an immunity passport. Some sort of vaccine certificate will be important to reboot travel and tourism, according to Dr. David Nabarro, Special Envoy on COVID-19 for the World Health Organization. In some cases, an immunity passport will be combined with a vaccination certificate, so that both people who survived COVID-19 and people who have been vaccinated will use the same type of documentation. In January 2021, Israel announced that all Israelis who have received their second vaccination as well as all who have recovered from infection will be eligible for a green passport that will exempt them from isolation requirements and mandatory COVID-19 tests, including those on arrival from overseas. The passport will be valid for 6 months. In March 2021, the WHO's Director of Digital Health and Innovation Bernardo Mariano said that, "We don't approve the fact that a vaccinations passport should be a condition for travel." Lawmakers in several U.S. states are also prematurely considering legislation to prohibit COVID-19 immunity passports. As of the 4th of April 2021, it is not yet clear whether vaccinated people that remain asymptomatic are still contagious and are thus silent spreaders of the virus, putting unvaccinated people at risk. Quote, "A lot of people are thinking that once they get vaccinated, they're not going to have to wear masks anymore," said Mitchell Thull, an immunologist at Stanford University. "It's really going to be critical for them to know if they have to keep wearing masks, because they could still be contagious." Marjorie Taylor Greene, a newly elected Republican U.S. representative for Georgia, told her supporters on Facebook at the beginning of April 2021 that something called a vaccine passport was a form of corporate communism and part of a democratic effort to control people's lives. Quarantine has been used since ancient times as a method of limiting the spread of infectious disease. Consequently, there has also been a need for documents attesting that a person has completed quarantine or is otherwise known not to be infectious. Since the 1700s, various Italian states issued fedi di sanità to exempt their bearers from quarantine. In 1959, the WHO created the International Certificate of Vaccination as a certificate of vaccination, particularly for yellow fever. However, these are certificates of vaccination, not immunity. An early advocate of immunity passports during the COVID-19 pandemic was Sam Rainsy, the Cambodian opposition leader. In exile and under confinement in Paris, he proposed immunity passports as a way to help restart the economy in a series of articles which He began in March 2020 and published in the Geopolitics and the Brussels Times. The proposals were also published in French. The idea became increasingly relevant as evidence of lasting acquired immunity became clear. In May 2020, Chile started issuing release certificates to patients who had recovered from COVID-19. But the documents will not yet certify immunity. Many governments including Finland, Germany, the United Kingdom, and the United States have expressed interest in the concept. Israel has implemented a green pass, which allows those who are fully vaccinated or have recovered fully from COVID-19 to eat